Alright, just sit back and get ready to have the most fun you ever had with an electronic device.
All right, everybody, welcome out to the Get On With It Sports Show. It is Wednesday, September the 21st, 2022. Jersey Johnny coming at you with me, as always, is none other than Mr. RadioPete and Mr. Harry Lug Nutz. Say hello, gentlemen.
Greetings, fellow Earthlings.
And salutations.
Salutations, bros.
There you go. How are you two fine gentlemen on this evening?
You know, it depends on who you ask, but I think...
I was asking you. Well,
I think Pete's fine.
There you go. I do too. I think Pete's Pete's doing pretty well.
Yeah.
I think Harry's in one of the best moods he's been in weeks.
Well, that's can't go well.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of reasons for that, right?
Is there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the Giants 2-0. Judge hit 60 last night.
The Judge hitting 60 last night was not the most exciting part of that night.
Oh no!
I did
Grand Slam.
I did stay awake to watch it, and the most incredible thing is that Josh Donaldson got a hit in the clutch.
Yeah. How did that happen?
Well, I think it hit him in the forehead and bounced over the second.
Bounced over the second baseman's head. Right? Yeah, exactly. It was a seeing forehead single.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
So anyway, well, yeah. On that note, I mean, you know what? I there's been a lot going on. I'm gonna actually have a beer. I usually have it like on the fun show when we do that next week, but I'm gonna have a beer tonight. I just feel like it's today's.
You didn't want to wait a week to have a beer?
No, I don't. Smack dab in the middle. I don't usually have one on this show. Is my point. I usually we're smack dab in the middle of Oktoberfest. Today's the traditional Oktoberfest day in Munich, in Germany, in September. Yeah. So I'm gonna have a little Coastal Brewworks Freising Tide.
Coastal Brewworks for all your South Jersey brewing needs. Coastal Brewworks,
South Jersey, North Jersey, New Jersey, United States,
tri-state area.
Do
you have any in New York yet?
Nah, just New Jersey.
Just New Jersey.
Just New Jersey.
Well, there's a reason to go to Jersey. Coastal Brewworks. When are a couple of those beers and some of those glasses going to make their way to the west?
I don't know. I think somebody's going to have to send some stuff out that way. So, yeah. And somebody's going to have to take some stuff to New York, too, as a matter of fact. I'm thinking Northport. You know.
That's a good place because it's a beer-loving community.
It's a beer-loving community. Sand City is a great brewery out there. To get a nice grilled cheese, that beer cheese is always a fun stop too. So.
A little charcuterie board. And then a hunk of cheese melted between.
I hanker for a hunk of cheese.
Delightfully toasted pieces of bread.
You gonna go visit Cheese Wheel?
Well, it's basically cheese wheel, right?
You might find Timer hanging out there.
There you go.
He's probably in the back cooking it up.
Could be.
Right, it's not on TV anymore.
No, not at all. So. It hasn't been. So,
right. So Judge hits his 60th. Yankees squeak one out against a horrible Pittsburgh Pirates team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, my take on this, based on what Aaron Judge is doing right now and how he's been since July and through August and now into September, I think he's having the single best hitting season at the plate since maybe Ted Williams. I mean, he has a chance to win the American League Triple Crown. He's hitting .316, which I think is equivalent to .325, .328 in other years. And, he's on pace to hopefully at least hit 62, but it looks like he's on pace to hit between 65 and 66 home runs.
If he hits one home run in every game, it's possible that he...
Right.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great to kind of have him beat Bonds? I mean, I think that would be wonderful. I don't think it'll happen, but I think it would be wonderful.
Yeah, I don't think it'll happen either, but he'll look. After what he's been doing, he's not all of a sudden going to shut down the rest of the season, the next 2 weeks.
No, and he's doing it in the midst of a pennant race, and he's doing it in the midst of being the one consistent player on a team. I mean, he's the only one.
Let me ask you guys this.
Sure.
Particularly you, Harry, as a Yankee fan. But I want you to think of it as a Yankee fan, and I want both of you to also think of it as just baseball fans.
Sure.
Which would you rather see? The home run or the Triple Crown?
Triple Crown.
As a baseball fan, rather see the Triple Crown.
Which home run? The overall home run or just the Yankee?
No. Would you rather see Judge set a new AL record, or would you rather see him win the Triple Crown?
Well, the AL record would also be a Yankee record. Yeah.
Right.
I don't really care about either. What I would like to see is him I would like to see him hit a home run in Game 7 of the World Series and not go to the Mets or the Giants.
All right, but you're not answering my question though.
Of those two,
I think the home run is because look, and the only reason why I say that is if he doesn't break the home run record, then it means that he's tailing off, and it probably means that the Yankees are not doing as well as they need to do. So in today's game, the Yankees rely on the long ball, as does Aaron Judge, I think, for a lot of his production. So I'm going to say the home run because his average could dip, and I don't think it will.
If they stop pitching to him,
yeah, you're right. You're absolutely
that's
right.
going to make it tougher. I mean, he could kind of hang on to the Triple Crown numbers,
right?
Because,
absolutely.
The walks are not going to hurt you in that respect, but you're not going to hit any home runs if they're not throwing anything.
Who holds the American League record for home runs?
The American League record for home runs, Roger Maris.
Who was the last person to win the Triple Crown in the American League?
It was Miggy.
Yeah, that sounds right. Cabrera.
You knew Maris, right?
Oh, right yeah.
Well, I knew it because I looked it up.
Yeah. So
it's good.
My point is,
I
think the home run record. I agree with you, Pete. I think it's a greater feat in some ways of winning the Triple Crown, but I do think this home run record, I think it cements him in Yankee history. I also think that if he does it, I think it gives I think that more than the Triple Crown and the Yankees having some success in the postseason pushes the Yankees towards giving him the most overpaid contract in the history of the game and keeping him on the Yankees, which if you were to ask me 9 months ago, should I think they definitely do that, I would waver. Now it's like, please, just pay him $500 million. Who gives a shit? Just pay him.
The other thing is, and I don't want to take anything away from Roger Maris,
right?
But one of the reasons that 61 is such a thing is because of another guy, named Mickey Mantle.
Right.
And that's what that race is what captured the nation's attention.
Absolutely. So, and imagine deciding who you want to pitch to. It's a little easier to say, do I want to walk Aaron Judge or do I want to walk Josh Donaldson?
Mm-hmm.
Do I want to pitch to Aaron Judge or do I want to? Yeah.
Right. My point is, if Mantle wasn't on that team or no one else was hitting close to what, Maris would still have the record, but it would be kind of, almost not a footnote, but sort of in that category.
And Maris,
I think you're right. In the national consciousness, 61 is a bigger deal than the Triple Crown.
Yeah. I think that what it does is it raises Judge's profile even more so than it is right now. And I do think that that's important for the Yankees and for the Yankees' ability to keep Aaron Judge. And I know that sounds like semantics and propaganda, but that's what is needed.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
I think that it would be really hard for him to make a conscious decision to go to the San Francisco Giants after,
Well, that would be going home for him, right? I mean, that's
right. But my point being is that I think
so. There's a little bit of different. I mean, yeah, you're right. It would be harder to do that, but specifically speaking to the Giants, he's going home, right? He's going to play for the team that he grew up rooting for, right, or whatever. But whereas if it was the Mets, right, it would be a harder decision to leave the Yankees to go to a little bit more money in Queens.
Yeah, but if he goes to the Giants, he's going to the Boston Red Sox of the NL West.
Right.
He's going to the also-rans and the redheaded stepchild of that division.
But imagine how many people would be diving into that bay to get his ball. how many bay shots would he have?
Many boats would be
that
sitting
right-
out in
Yeah,
McCovey Cove.
that shot
All right,
that he hit to left last night would have wound up in Oakland.
I got two questions for both of you, really
All
quick.
right.
On that, really quick. Don't forget. Were you going to say something, Pete? I'm sorry. Was I cutting you
I was
off?
just going to say, what, like Harry, you just basically said, give him anything he wants. So I guess
$17 billion a week.
Well, all right. So I was going to say, do you give him whatever he wants? But let me change that question to what is the number in your mind above which the Yankees simply cannot go?
I think it's going to be $300 million in a long-term contract.
So let's talk.
I don't think they're going to go more than 350, and I think another team might.
So wait, 350 for how many years?
I don't know.
Like 10?
Yeah.
So 35 average annual value of $35 million a year.
Now,
and what, like front loaded or back loaded or?
I don't know.
Probably would be, well,
it'd probably be mostly front loaded, but yeah.
Yeah, because again, it's one of those, and we talk about this all the time. You're not paying him for the last 5 years of that contract.
No, and you might have to have something where there's a guarantee on the last 5 years, but there's some performance benefits.
No, would you
maybe what if you do a Bonilla?
Well, you work that out. If you backload it, and then you work that out afterwards.
Right.
Yeah, let's say it's 350. So you give him,
$50 million a year up front,
150 over the first 3 years or whatever,
right?
And then you just break it out over the next. I don't know.
Look, the reality of it is what you don't want the Yankees to turn into, or the whatever they are now, the California Angels, the Los Angeles Angels. Mm-hmm. You don't want him to become the Mike Trout of the American League East, where it cripples the team's ability. Now, we've had this conversation before. The Yankees have to either go back to the George Steinbrenner way of saying, we're going to fucking win a World Series, and we're going to do whatever the hell we have to do to do it.
Yeah, because you're going to make at least that luxury tax back.
Right. Now, there's a good chance, and the difference is that Aaron Judge is already on the Yankees, but there's a good chance that Aaron Judge could turn into the next Dave Winfield. Look, he's had 2 good years, his rookie year and this year.
Yeah.
And he's not the youngest guy. He's not the youngest guy in baseball. Having said that, if he plays at 80% for the next 5 years of what he's doing right now, then he's worth every penny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The only other difference I would say, because you're right about the Angels and the Trout. Trout was how old when he signed that deal?
12.
He wasn't 30.
He was younger. So it's even worse.
He was in his mid-20s. Yeah,
it's even worse.
But I'm saying they had a much
right.
That window was open a lot more.
So it's even worse in some ways.
Potential. Well, you can say that.
So here's my 2 questions for you. Number 1, all right. Specifically speaking, I'm not talking about money or anything like that, but specifically speaking of the pennant or the home run race. All right. Does it diminish what he's doing on a national level because he's only going for the Yankee record / the American League record? Like he's not going to beat, he's not flirting with Bonds' record,
Well, I don't think we're going to see anybody flirt with that. And there's a lot of people out there, and I think more than ever before, to be honest with you, who look at the Bonds McGuire record and say, yeah, it's the record, but.
Yeah, that's just what I was going to say.
Right. Well, but that's it though, because this is again, and I'm not taking anything away from this. I think it's an incredible, it's an incredible feat. But if he was like, do you think it's diminishing? Like certainly not local, and certainly not for Yankee fans and true baseball fans, even for that matter. But on a national level, on a national headline, sports headline level,
No, because this alone, not the fact that he's raised his batting average 20 points or that he's got 128 RBIs already. The home runs alone has put Aaron Judge and the Yankees at the top of national sports discussions every day for the last 2 weeks.
That was my question.
So,
right.
I don't think it diminishes it.
Okay.
And I think what Harry just said, here's the top 6 home runs hit, right? Bonds, McGuire, Sosa, Sosa. Number 7 is who? Roger Maris.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it gets legitimate.
Right. And look, let's
So
put it in
I- you know-
perspective. Let's put it in perspective. He has one more right now than Giancarlo Stanton had the year that he won. He was cursed. So I just
right. So, but to your point, if he passes Maris,
right.
he's going to be the single season guy in baseball in a lot of people's minds,
Right.
Right.
Especially
Because it's not going to be.
especially
so I don't.
Because it's not Sosa, McGuire, or Bonds.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think it matters that it's the AL record. I think there's going to be a lot of people who are going to go, fuck those other guys. We know they all did it. They all fucking did it. This is may not be on the stat sheet in Major League Baseball, the Hall of Fame or whatever, but this is going to be the new single season record.
I'll also say this: he's doing it. It's almost like it would be the equivalent of, and this is a bad analogy, but it's the only one that's coming to my mind. It would be the equivalent of somebody winning the scoring title or scoring more points per game, and also average. Like it would be the equivalent of what Will Chamberlain did, because Sosa and McGuire, those guys, they never really hit for average. They were on decent teams, but they weren't the face of one of the largest teams in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
They just weren't. They were, and it was fun for a while. Bonds, none of those guys are as admired as Aaron Judge is. Aaron Judge is an icon to young kids. He's probably, maybe, the most popular player in baseball right now.
Yeah,
Ohtani's probably up there for obvious reasons. I think that there's some other players up there, but I think if you look around the league, when he hit that home run in Milwaukee the other night, 2/3 of the crowd stood up with Aaron Judge shirts on. Now, I realize that's probably a lot of New York transplants, but I bet a lot of those kids are kids of people who live in Milwaukee and whose parents are Brewers fans. Mm-hmm. Because it's less about the team now, more about the player. And
sorry, go ahead.
No,
and the Yankees,
right?
All right, you go.
No. What I was going to say is that Judge is a class act. Now I could get pissy with him for him not committing to the Yankees, and I get that. And if I had to bet on it, I think no matter what, I think he's gone for whatever reason. I don't know what it is, but I do think he's gone. That's just if I had to bet on it.
If that is the case, where's he going?
I don't really fucking care, because then I'll hate him.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't know what the fuck he has. That's my problem.
We don't know that he's going anywhere.
Pro athlete.
You don't know that. Nobody knows except for him what's in his mind.
I don't even think he knows where he's going. It's gonna be
whoever
offers him the most money. That is where he will go.
But is it fair to say that he at this point should have a definitive idea? Like it's a difficult decision. So, but I think you're right. I'm agreeing with you.
Here's my other question.
I don't think he's even sure either. But how could he be?
Here's my other question.
What those options are going to be?
I think he should. I think he doesn't know what he has. So yes, if you're asking me, with the season that he's having and the amount of love he's having, both as a Yankee player and in the market that he's at, then yes, somebody should be whispering it on his ear. Oh, by the way, you're playing for the Yankees.
Yeah.
Here's my other question. All right, and then we got to get on with it, because it's 20 minutes of Aaron Judge conversation.
Right.
Well, it's
no, it's important
topic than that, but
no, yeah, you know what I'm saying. But anyway, here's my other question. Right now, not yesterday, not tomorrow. Right now, based on what he's doing and how it's all playing out right now for Aaron Judge with the Yankees. Specifically speaking, obviously, of the Yankees, is Aaron Judge more important to Yankee history right now? Right now, I can't say it like that. Is Aaron Judge a better player right now than Derek Jeter was when he was the Yankee?
No.
Player.
Stick around and
player.
Being a better player means winning worlds. If you're a Yankee player, winning World Series means a lot, and performing in October and November means a lot. So no, not even close. But he's got the chance to be. He has the chance to go down as one of the greatest Yankees of all time. Maybe that doesn't mean anything anymore. Remember, there's had 2 good seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are certain ways that you could say Judge is a greater contributor, obviously in home runs and stuff. But Derek Jeter was a very special player amongst a team that creates special players. So
right.
I don't know if I could put Judge above him, but I'm not the best, no pun intended, judge of these things. Not being a Yankee fan.
But Aaron Judge has not gotten nearly as many clutch hits or made as
no, you're right. You're right. He doesn't have the resume
as Derek Jeter has.
He doesn't have the resume. All right,
Derek Jeter didn't hit as many home runs, but he hit a couple really clutch ones.
Yeah. 3 very quick things. You talk about the Aaron Judge jerseys. Yankees, more than any other team in baseball, have a nationwide fan base.
Yeah.
So that doesn't surprise me. But you're right. It's more about the player than the team now. Number 2, McGuire on the Cardinals. If there's another team, maybe you might play the Cardinals, maybe the Dodgers that have a nationwide, but still not as iconic as the Yankees. And Sosa, of course, on the Cubs.
Mm-hmm.
Same kind of thing, nationally known more for being hard luck and all that. But neither one of them as iconic as
the Yankees.
As the Yankees and as Aaron Judge has a chance to be. Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Couple other things baseball-wise. Obviously, the Yankees are for 5.5 games in first and maintaining that over Toronto. So it looks like they're on their way to winning the AL East. Looking around the rest of the American League, we got two weeks left. 2 weeks from today, when we do our show 2 weeks from now, that's the last day of the Major League Baseball season.
It might come down to the last day,
and it could very well come down to it. Depends on what happens. But Cleveland, what are the name now? The Steamers, Rockers, the Rollers,
the Guardians.
The Guardians. There you go. Cleveland Guardians. They're in first right now. They got a 5-game lead over the White Sox.
Yeah, they're going to
win. And the Houston Astros have already locked up the West. So,
yeah. I find it interesting, though, although I guess it shouldn't be surprising. We talked about the AL East and how many wildcard teams are going to come out of there and stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, Houston has things locked up. Nothing else is set in the American League.
Nothing.
Not the wildcard teams, no division winners, the AL East. Look, it's 5.5 over Toronto and 7.5 over Tampa Bay. Unlikely either one of those teams, I would say, is going to surpass the Yankees, but still up for grabs. As far as what the order is going to be, I find that
the Astros are going to be number 1. Toronto still has a chance because I think the Yankees play Toronto in 4 games in the end here. Tampa Bay's certainly not out of it. In fact, I still think Tampa Bay is a better team than Toronto. And the team that scares me, especially if they match up against the Yankees because of what they did at the trade deadline, are the Mariners.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Mariners are right now, if the season ended today, the 3 wildcard teams are the Blue Jays, the Rays, and the Mariners.
And the Mariners.
Yeah, and I think those 3 teams are going to, in some order,
unless they melt down, those are your 3 wildcards.
I don't think.
Yeah, it might. It might very well stay that way.
I don't think the Orioles will catch any of them. However, the Orioles might just be the story of the season. They're 5 games over 500.
No matter where they end up,
the next team back in that wild card race is the Orioles.
Yeah, and they're ahead of the White Sox. So,
although listen, the White Sox have been kind of streaky.
Yeah,
so they could jump into a wild card spot, but again, one of those other teams, Toronto, Tampa Bay, Seattle, they've got to have a little bit of a meltdown. Although Seattle is 4-6 in their last.
There's no team in the wild card races in either league that in their last 10 games have won more than 6. So the best any of those teams are 6-4 in both leagues. So it's not like anybody's on a 12 game streak or a 10 game streak or anything like that.
Right.
A lot of these hot. Yeah, hot means I'm 2 games over 500 and not 2 under. So
Cleveland is hot. They're 8-2 in their last 10. Mm-hmm. Houston is hot. They're 9-1 in their last 10. Right. But everyone else is a game.
I'm saying in the wild
game
card
over
race.
under.
I'm saying in the wild
card race. Right. No, I'm saying everyone else in the entire league
right around 500.
A game over or a game under 500. That's all
in the last 10
Now, the Dodgers are in too, but the Dodgers are.
Well, that's the American League. Let's look at the National
Right.
League for a second here.
right.
National League. Okay, the Mets and the Braves have clinched playoff spots. Nobody's clinched the division yet. The Mets have a game lead on the Braves, and they have 3 to play with the Braves. Not this coming weekend, the following weekend. The first
right.
September 30th, 1st and 2nd of October.
I think that's going to decide it because they both have a pretty easy schedule other than that matchup between themselves.
Right. And then every time one of them loses a game, they both lose. Every time one of them wins a game, they both win. So,
Yeah. Do we remember what our predictions were? I think I said by October it was going to be decided. Harry, you might have said the last weekend or something.
I think I had in the National League. Is that what you're saying? I think I had the Braves. I can't remember. I had the Braves or the Mets. I think I had the Brewers winning the Central, and I had the Dodgers winning the West. I think a couple people
but we picked
Padres.
like when it was going to be decided.
Yeah.
And I think I said by October 1st.
Right.
And you were a little bit later. I think you and John were both in the early part of October, which is probably what it's going to come down to.
Yeah, the National League East is. I mean, we knew it was going to be the Mets and Braves, and look, they're both really good teams.
Yeah, I don't even know if we picked that in the Central and the West.
No, I think we had the Brewers. I think most of us picked the Brewers. I can't remember which. The Cardinals are one of those teams too. They're kind of like the Mariners of the National League, where I don't know if I want to play the Cardinals. It's like, they're really good at home, and if they're going to win their division, you're going to have to play the majority of the games at home against them, even though you might have 8-10 more wins.
Somewhere I have the paper, and we'll do it.
Yeah,
we'll do it.
Week.
We'll do it in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, which is the last game of the season, the last day of the season.
Oh yeah, so we'll actually know who was right.
So we'll know who was right. We'll have everything laid out, and we'll know what's going on. So, all right. And then just to wrap up the rest of the National League, you got the Cardinals have an 8-game lead over the Brewers. For all intents and purposes, within the next several days, that'll probably be decided. And then the Dodgers have already wrapped up the NL West. And your current wild card teams are either the Braves or the Mets, whoever doesn't win the division.
Yeah, right.
The
Padres and Phillies.
The Padres and Phillies,
yeah. I'm very happy. I mean, I know they're 21 games back, but you throw that out the window. I'm very happy about the Padres.
Yeah, look, I think a lot of people had them doing even better than they're doing. I think the Padres are another team that's dangerous, especially with that lineup. I think the other story besides the Orioles, especially with the managerial change during the season, are the Phillies, because I was one of those people who said I thought the Phillies were going to be pretty good this year. And I think they're kind of living up to that.
You said that with Girardi at the helm, though.
Yeah. Well, look, I'm actually a fan of Joe Girardi. I think they might have turned it around with him. I'm not sure the managerial change had anything to do with that, other than the fact that they got off to a slow break. Maybe it did, but maybe the credit needs to go there. But having said that, I think if the Brewers do not make the playoffs, I think, and the Giants don't make the playoffs after winning 104 games. How many games did the Giants win last year?
104, 105. Yeah.
I think that's got to be the most disappointing. I mean, maybe you throw the Red Sox in there. I don't know, but I think that the Brewers and the Giants are the
Brewers are the Brewers are the first team out of the wild card.
Sure, understood.
They're the Orioles of the National League.
And they might get in there because I think they have, as we're seeing lately, that they, although they lost to the Mets last night, they won 2 out of 3 against the Yankees.
They lost 2 out of 3 of the Mets. They won today. They beat the Mets today.
Yeah, so I mean, the Brewers are a pretty good team. It also proves my point against the Mets is the Mets beat good teams. They tend to struggle a little bit sometimes with teams that are not so great.
Well, the Mets are playing the A's this weekend,
right?
So we'll see what happens there,
right? But didn't the A's win 2 out of 3 against the Braves a week ago? Anyway, it doesn't matter. My point being is that this is why I have confidence in the Mets. Is that the Mets seem to play really well against good teams. We'll see.
They just need to get there.
Well, and early in the season, they were beating the teams that they should have beaten.
Right.
So they're not quite doing that at the same pace right now. But
yeah, I mean they're on pace to win. I mean they got 12 games left. 11. They got 11 games left, and they go 500 in those games, and they're winning 101, 102 games. So.
Yeah, look, I think other than the Dodgers, I think the Mets and the Braves are the two teams that can challenge them in a playoff series.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any of these other teams can. I really don't.
And also, I'd want to give a shout out to the Rockies
for not being worse than the Marlins.
Well, look, they're 20 games. They're 20 games under 500, right? But there's 5 other teams in the National League that have a worse record than them.
True.
Which you probably would not if someone said, "Would you take that at the beginning of the season?" You probably would sign up for that.
Right.
You probably go, "Hey, yeah, I'll." I mean, if they said they're going to win, look, they'll probably win. Let's say
70 games, 68 games, 67 games.
67 games, let's say, maybe. Well, how many got left? 12, so maybe they'll win 4. Right? So they'll win 67.
No, they got 14 games left.
14. All right, so they could win
7.
They go 500. Let's say they win 5.
There's 69 games they win.
So 69, somebody goes, hey, they're going to win 69 games, and there'll be 4 or 5 teams that are worse than them in the National League.
You take
I'll sign for that right now.
Would you be happy getting a 69 out of Denver?
Yeah.
I'd be like, yeah, you bet.
Sure, absolutely.
Anytime.
So shout out to the Rockies.
Never mind. On that note. All right. Let's switch it up.
Shout out to the 69 and Rockies.
That's right.
Yeah. 69 and Rockies.
69 and something. Yeah.
69 and qualifying. All right. Football.
Let's do it.
Week 2 was last week. We're already heading into week 3 of this season. It's just flying by already.
And the Giants and Jets combined have 3 wins.
Let me explain something to you. This past Sunday was the first time in 13 years that the Giants, the Jets, the Yankees, and the Mets all won on the same day.
Yeah. Well,
so there you go.
It's hard to coordinate that.
They took a lot of phone calls that morning, but they were able to get it done.
It takes a lot of losing to get to that.
There you go too.
Mostly with the Giants and Jets.
Well, mostly because they only have 1 month every year to do it in, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and if DeGrom isn't pitching for the Mets, then
then they might win.
Yeah,
right.
That's true. They don't seem to win for him.
Well, you saw that one meme, was it a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
It's like the DeGrom throws pitches so well that the Mets can't even score runs when he pitches.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one on the field can cross when he's pitching.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. I mean, a couple things happened this weekend. Look, the 49ers, we've been talking for 6 months now about where's Jimmy G going? Where's Jimmy Garoppolo going?
He's going to the Super Bowl with the 49ers.
Damn good thing that the 49ers didn't send him packing anywhere, right?
Well, I don't think they could, but yeah, it is a damn good thing.
Trey Lance out for the season.
Yeah, that's sad.
That was sad. And on another note, on the opposite of that, if you will, well, I don't know if it's the opposite of that, but in any event, what was that team that played against the Rams in the Super Bowl? What were they called? The
Bengals offensive line is.
Oh my God!
Talk about all this money that they spent. It just
they spent a ton of money fixing the offensive line, and it's worse than it was last year.
Last year I was concerned for Joe Burrow. This year I'm really concerned that he's going to die. I mean, it's bad. I mean, he's just getting knocked around. Like
the word shellacking does not even look. I said this a couple weeks ago, and it doesn't. It holds true right now for that team. The Bengals, Joe Burrow would be better off if they stacked a couple of cardboard boxes in front of him than with that offensive line.
Especially if they're a good size, like a refrigerator or
a couple of stove or dishwasher.
Yeah,
put some cement in them, maybe.
Some Whirlpool. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it literally, my point is, it would take longer for the defensive line that against the team they're playing against to run around the boxes than it does running through the
right. And despite all of that, they were 3 crappy kicks away from 3 times beating the Steelers and 1 play away from beating the Cowboys.
Right.
So yes, they're so far obviously the team that has gotten off to a horrible start compared to what they did last year.
Right.
I have a feeling they'll turn it around. But it's got to be concerning.
It's very concerning.
When was the last time a team coming off a Super Bowl appearance looked this bad the next year? I mean, the Giants.
There you go.
But, other than that, didn't Seattle maybe go 0-2 or 0-3 after they lost to the
a number of teams have. I mean, Dallas went 0-2 after they won the Super Bowl in the 92 season.
Yeah. So, but I mean, look, they've lost to the Steelers and the Cowboys without Dak Prescott. So that's what makes it concerning. If they had lost to Buffalo and Kansas City, then I don't think people are going to worry about it as much.
Right.
Having said that, the team that I think has gotten off to the worst start in the NFL is the Indianapolis Colts. They look pathetic.
They do.
Well, they were listed by Bleacher Report as one of the 7 teams most likely to disappoint.
Well, they got that right. Good for Bleacher Report.
Yeah. But you know what? Let's revisit that just for a second here. And we'll see. Okay, so it was the Colts? Yes. The Titans?
Yes.
The Patriots? Men's.
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
It's probably unfair to expect the Pats to have
the Cardinals
the same success that they did last year, but Cardinals were on that list.
The Pats are 1-1.
Yeah. But can't call the Chiefs were on that list.
Yeah, the Chiefs are not disappointing.
Yeah, the Packers were on that list.
And we don't know yet with the Packers, although the Packers seem to start every year like this, and then
the Cowboys. And it's funny because the reason the Cowboys were on that list is because basically they said they're pretty thin and a couple of injuries and they're done. And of course, what happened?
Now
they were quite prescient in that. I don't like Bleacher Report most of the time, but they were pretty on with this one.
There you go. Just looking around the league, I mean, I know it's only 2 weeks in, but there's 6 undefeated teams, and the Giants are one of them. Just mind-boggling. But
I have a feeling that comes to an end, but who knows?
Well, we'll find out. We'll see. Beaten by the coin is coming. You can make your pick then.
Mm-hmm.
In any event,
how many games this season? 17.
There are 17 games. Yeah, 17 games.
So
just to put it, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. There's 11 teams in first place in the NFC right now.
Oh, this is a lot of parity right now in the NFL.
The entire NFC West and NFC North is tied at 1-1. Right. So,
so at current rate, which obviously can't possibly keep up at this rate.
No.
Joe Burrow is due for to be sacked 110 times
next week.
This season, by the end of this season,
is he gonna have more sacks than Aaron Judge has RBIs?
He might. Now, last year we know he led the league. That was 51. He's already at 13 after 2 games. So he can't keep getting sacked 6 times a game.
No,
but he might get taken down a couple times against the Jets.
The first 2 weeks have been so odd that the Jacksonville Jaguars are in first place in the AFC South.
The AFC South is a strange.
The New York Giants are in first place in the NFC East, and everybody in the NFC North is tied.
And the West.
And the West.
The Seahawks. Geno Smith is in first place right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the only team that's not in first place in the AFC North are the Cincinnati Bengals.
Correct.
Yes. And I hear in the background a funeral dirge. So maybe that's
the theme music to tonight's football section. So anyway, all right. I mean, we're gonna obviously keep an eye. There's a lot more football to be played coming up.
Yeah.
I do have to ask you, Harry, and
Yes.
Pete, you can weigh in. Speaking on the Giants really quick. Kenny Golladay was on the field for exactly 2 snaps.
Yeah, well,
last Sunday.
he's in the news complaining.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he said I should be out there.
Look, this is what I like about the Giants' new coaching regime is that they don't give a shit. You don't perform, then you're not going to be out there. And I think the Giants, look, we all know what the mistakes they've made in personnel over the years. I think that they did that in signing a lot of these receivers that we thought were going to be wonderful additions, and they just didn't perform. And people said, well, it was because of Daniel Jones or it was because of their offensive line. Well, obviously it's because maybe there's other people that have a better chance of winning a team game than they do. And it's also interesting that as the Giants are running the ball more, that they have different people, both at tight end this year. I think that draft pick is actually turning out fairly well. And also a wide receiver. Why? Because they're blocking better. Because playing football is not just about running around and catching the ball. So
no, and you have to get open too.
You got to get open.
Yeah. Daniel Jones can't throw the ball if you're not open. I mean, he might do that anyway.
The Giants are winning because look, they're a more physical team than they were. There's been a lot of changes on the defensive side. I mean, look, Blake Martinez is gone, a captain last year, cut. Okay, but the defensive scheme that the Giants are doing is giving them a chance to win games, and it's worked so far in the first 2 games. Again, I'm not a very good Carolina team. I thought the Giants would actually win by more than what they beat them, and also a probably not as good as they have been in the last few years Tennessee Titan team. But what both those teams have are stellar running games and good defenses, and the Giants have been able to beat that. Now, we're going to see. Going into this season, I thought the first time they would actually face a passing attack would be the Cowboys with Prescott. Maybe it's going to be the Cowboys with, Scooter McGee. What is his name? Something Fury?
Cooper Rush.
Yeah.
Something Fury.
I know his name sounds like a weird 80s movie.
Cooper Rush.
Yeah, starting.
To me, it sounds like the name of
Cooper Rush.
To me, it sounds like the name of like a BMX bicycle or something.
Yeah, or an energy drink you buy at the truck stop. Yeah.
Cooper Rush.
Well, listen, this could be a ground game battle.
Cooper tires put out.
You do have.
And that's why I give the Giants a shot in this game. The Giants have not been tested with an elite passing game yet. These games are playing right into their MO. Don't make mistakes on offense. Grind the ball out. The rushing attack was great game 1, pretty good game 2. Don't turn the ball over and play good defense. And so far, that's working out.
And Dallas hasn't had a great rushing defense so far this season. They certainly looked terrible in, I think it was week 1 against Leonard Fournette, who's not a bad running back at all. So the Giants could conceivably run the ball. But I don't know. What do you like better? Do you like the Dallas defense against the Giants attack, or do you like the Giants defense against the Dallas offense without Dak Prescott? Which one do you like better?
Well, I think if the Giants do get into a situation where they have to pass, look, Micah Parsons. Let's talk about. I was just mentioning the Giants' problems with personnel decisions.
Yeah. Well, is Daniel Jones going to even have time to pass the ball?
How did we pass on Micah Parsons?
I have 2 words. We'll explain why they did not take Micah Parsons.
And we all knew this.
The first word is Dave.
Yeah.
And the second word is?
Yeah.
Beelzebub.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's like I don't want to trade for the best squirrel in the yard. I just want to have a couple of acorns over here for so that I could get an even better one 5 years later. Anyway, Micah Parsons is the best player, maybe the best player in the NFL right now. I mean,
So do you like the Dallas defense?
this game is a
Against the
toss-up. This game is an absolute
Think about this line for the Giants.
I think
Leonard Williams,
I like
Kayvon
Dallas
Thibodeau, Azeez Ojulari, and Micah Parsons. How would that defense, those four on an 11-player defense line?
And to the Giants' credit, we might see a couple of those players for the first time this year who have not been playing.
Thibodeau going to play?
Thibodeau might actually make an appearance. So
what if they just tell him it's the Super Bowl?
Right, exactly.
Is that how you get him out there?
Well, it might be your Super Bowl. So, yeah.
This is the closest thing to a Super Bowl you're going to see this season, Kayvon. Get out there.
Exactly.
Look, I think Dallas's defense is pretty damn good, especially against the pass. So if you were to say whose defense is better overall, I think Dallas, only because I don't know what the Giants' capability really is in the passing game. And we might find out this week because Cooper Rush, he didn't throw the ball a ton, but he's had more passing yards than Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
So I think Dallas will throw the ball more than the Giants, and that might cause some issues for the Giants.
So I think whoever's quarterback is more serviceable.
Whoever does not turn the ball over wins this game, and it's close, and it's low scoring.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough.
7-6.
So we'll see. All right. Do we want to talk about what happened at in Cleveland this past Sunday? Oh, but wait, no. But before we do.
You ready to do this? Yeah, ready. And we've got Joe and Coach Sala and everybody else in here. They're going to dump
Swaggy Sauce Gardner. How you doing, brother? Joe Douglas. How you doing, brother? Joe Douglas.
Hey, man.
Hey, man. You ready to join the family?
Hey, man.
Hey, man, I'm going to turn you over to Coach Sala.
Hey, man.
Hey, man, congrats, man. Welcome to the family.
Thank you.
It sounds like an audition tape for The Sopranos. A really bad one.
Hey, man.
Is it gravy or is it sauce?
Hey, man, I just want to thank y'all, man. I'm great, man. Blessed to be here, man.
Hey, man. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the
family. We should just play that for 30 minutes every week. And that's the podcast. Is that the theme to the crack trolley?
That was the crack trolley music. Yeah, it was.
Congratulations,
33-year-old
New York Jets. Cleveland has been in two of the strangest games so far in this early season.
A little bit. Yeah.
Holy smokes! That Arizona comeback was incredible. Was it as crazy as this Jets win? I mean.
Well, they needed overtime to win. So
right, yeah, the Jets only.
Joe Flacco looked at everybody and said, "Pa, we got this in regulation."
Down by 13. All I need is 23 seconds.
That's it.
How
he was on the phone with Ryan Fitzpatrick asking him what to do.
I'm not even sure how it happened. I still don't really.
Well, this is. Let me put the practical question out there. Should Chubb have gone down?
Yes.
Right.
That's what he was told to do.
Chubb goes down.
We
have reached the point now, and we've talked about this before.
Don't yell Chubb goes down too loud. That's, nobody wants to hear that.
Chubb goes down. His wife's very happy. But
Chubb goes down. Chubb goes down.
Sauce!
We have reached that point now where, this kind of sort of strategy is now the accepted thing to do. Right. It's not really controversial anymore, as opposed to, I still think you go in the end zone, you go up by 2 touchdowns.
Well, he tiki'd it. He tiki barbered it.
Yeah. But, if that happens, then this game has a very different result. Right. So
it's because, and we've talked about this before, and I don't know if anybody has an answer to this, although I really would like to have a coach explain this to me, somebody who's knowledgeable, so maybe one of the 3 that are actually knowledgeable in the NFL right now. Why is it that a defense cannot stop the other team with less than, I'm not even going to say 2 minutes, less than a minute, less than 40 seconds left in the game anymore. Why is it that it is so easy to score at the end of a game? I do not understand it.
Which leads me to this question, and I've been saying this for a while now. If it's so easy to score in a 2-minute drill, or for that matter, a 1 minute or 30-second drill, whatever you want to call it, why don't teams employ that from the minute the game starts?
Because it's not what the offense does, it's what the defense does. It's the defensive strategy that leads to this whole idea that we're going to prevent it.
I get it. I get prevent defense. I get the whole. I get the whole thing. But if you did that from the get-go, it would throw defenses off to a point where they would be scrambling around and
just come out as in a no huddle and desperate as
boom.
Well, listen, that's happened. The other thing I think is probably a factor, although I can't prove this obviously, is maybe the refereeing is just a little bit different. I mean, if you're on defense, you have to be extra careful when they're in that 2-minute drill, because that pass interference, that's an extra 25 yards, especially if it's coming down to a field goal. So I'm not saying the refs are calling it different, but I think in the defense's mind,
well, they are calling it differently overall since years past. The other thing is that
but
I mean not specifically in that 2 minutes versus the rest of the game.
Yeah, just in general. I also think the ball, if you kick the ball, if you don't run the ball out of the end zone, if it's a touchback, we got to move it back to the 20. I'm sorry. This starting on the 25 is just today's kickers. All you need is 2 completions and you got a field goal.
It's stupid. It's got to go to the 20. You're absolutely right. It's got to go to the 20.
Yeah, I don't like.
Call up Goodell. Let him know. Jimmy.
Yeah, like there's no reason to penalize a team because your kicker can kick it out of the end zone.
Exactly. In fact, it should be, maybe it's if you kick it through the end zone, you start on the 15. I don't know. It's or if you run it out, you get an extra 5 yards. Just
if you kick it through the uprights, maybe you get. Well,
isn't that Canadian football or rugby or something?
If you do it on the kickoff, the indoor football, you can bounce it off the net.
That's right.
Yeah, anyway. I don't know. Listen, a win's a win, and get Mr. Wilson involved in the offense more.
Hmm?
He did some good things week 1 when he was in for 4 plays or didn't come in until.
What did he have? 104 yards or whatever this past week?
Yeah, you're talking about Zach Wilson?
No, Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson. Yeah, listen, he could turn out to be one of the best receivers drafted.
Yeah, Jets have a lot of speed.
Yeah.
They do.
Now, of course, remember we talked about what Robert Saleh said about Joe Flacco, who's having a great season so far, and he's no quarterback, and he's a starter, and blah blah blah. Hey, what do you do if you keep? I asked the question: what do you do if you win 4 out of the 5 or whatever before Zach comes back?
You put Zach Wilson right back.
You got to put Zach back in, but
yeah. Well, it depends on what depends on what receipts Salah has in his shoebox.
Right.
Yeah. Right. That's right. Yeah.
And here's my question. Here's my question on that. If he's putting
his Joe Burrow receipt only has a limited warranty,
right. But by the end of the season, his wallet's going to look like George Costanza.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of
yeah.
There's going to be a lot of receipts.
Of course, your hips are all screwed up. Look at that wallet. No. I think he's got him in a shoebox, personally.
Probably.
Look, that's the Jets fans wish they have that problem if Flacco wins 4 out of 5. We'll see. Look, if the Jets can beat a pretty desperate Bengals team this week, then yeah, I'm trying to not pay attention to the.
Sorry, I didn't hear it.
Yeah. Anyway, go Jets.
There you go.
Yeah, listen, you take the win when it comes, and whatever, enjoy it. There won't be a whole lot of them.
No, this is true.
A whole lot of them.
Enjoy it while it's there. You go, and that's fine. All right, shall we do that voodoo that we do?
I hope so.
I think so.
I think it's time for
the coin.
I'm sure I'll lose to the coin.
No one wants to be beaten by the coin.
What's the weird Bible in that song that you? Were you having some? Were you not master of your domain while that was being uploaded to?
Yeah, it didn't work out that well. But
Okay.
all right. In any event,
Were you brushing your teeth? What the hell? All right.
pretty much.
Okay, beat by the coin. All right, quick recap.
I suck.
Harry Lug Nutz is in first place by a game over John and I. And the coin is 3 back of him and 2 back of John and I.
We're doing all right. We're picking harder games.
Yeah. Look,
Yeah.
we all went 4 and 2. The coin went 3 and 3 last week.
Mhm.
So, we're okay.
All right.
We're okay. So this week's games, we have chosen another 6-pack this week, I believe, which I like.
What are the 6?
I like. Yeah. So we've got Pittsburgh and Cleveland. Pittsburgh at Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
Tough one.
Yeah. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I'm going Pittsburgh. Steelers are going to
Pittsburgh.
win this game on the road. Cleveland looks pathetic.
I can't remember what I picked, but I think I said Cleveland.
You
You
did.
pick Cleveland, yeah. I'm going with John there. I think Pittsburgh is going to win. Their offenses look kind of clueless, but I think they're better than Cleveland.
I as well.
I'm going to flip the old coin here. And the coin likes the Cleveland Browns.
Cleveland Browns heads for
So
home.
Harry and the coin Cleveland, not good, Harry. Not good. Next game up, Buffalo against them Dolphins.
All right.
I'll take Buffalo.
I'll take Buffalo.
Make it a 3.
All right.
Make it a 3-way.
Coin
Sure.
says Miami.
Wow, coin's going with the Dolphins.
It's going to be a good
Coin
game.
is-
This is going to be the game.
Yeah.
One of the games.
Coin is a Tua believer.
There you go.
All right, next up, the LA Ramifications against them Arizona Cardinals. Harry?
Oh, go ahead, Harry.
Oh.
You start. Harry, start.
The Rams.
Rams, okay.
Rams
I'll take
for
the
me.
Rams.
Rams around. Rams around.
Let's see what the coin says. Coin likes the Rams as well. We are all in agreement for the first time this week. There we go.
What do you know? There you go. All right.
All right, Green Bay at Tampa Bay. Rodgers,
Another tough
Brady.
one. Tough one.
Yeah,
Especially
Yeah.
with what's his name? Mike Evans being out. Ugh.
Mhm.
yeah.
Tough one.
John, who do you like?
I'm going Packers. I'm going Green Bay, and not just because you know me in Green Bay, but I think that the Bucs really haven't, showed me a whole hell of a lot in the first 2 weeks. And Mike Evans is out. He's on that Lattimore suspension, which we didn't even talk about. But we'll, I'm going Green Bay.
All right, Harry.
I'm gonna go Tampa Bay, and I'll tell you what the Bucs have showed me. I think they got the best defense in football, and they're tough, and they're gonna look. I think Green Bay's figured some things out, but Green Bay beat a Minnesota team that they typically kind of beat up on. I think Tampa Bay's got something to prove. I like the mentality of these Bucs. I don't think they're going to let Green Bay come in at home and beat them. I think it's going to be close, but I think Tampa Bay wins.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think Green Bay is better than they were the first week. I think you're right; they have figured some things out. But I think Tampa Bay is a much higher caliber defense, obviously, than they have faced so far. And I think Minnesota's a little better this year. It remains to be seen, but I think they will be. So I'm going to take Tampa Bay. And the coin also likes them Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I am on an island.
You are on an island. All right, next up is San Francisco at the heretofore woeful, despite one win, Denver Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
Harry's home team, so to speak. And I am going to take Denver. Much as I love Jimmy G, I think they're, with the exception of what Russell Wilson has been doing, they are a better team than they have shown so far. He needs to get in sync. And I think if they don't try and make Russell Wilson the focal point of the offense, they will actually do better. So I'm going to pick them to win over San Francisco.
There you go. I'm going San Francisco. 49ers. Jimmy G's back in the saddle, so to speak. They're going to win this game.
Yeah, I think this 49ers defense is going to chew the Broncos offense up. I think the 49ers win this game, and I think they win it pretty handily.
All right. Let's see what the coin says. Okay. Coin says Denver, so I lose. And finally, your favorite team, guys. The Dallas Cowboys being hosted by them New York Giants. And
this is
Harry
another
Lug-
tough one.
Tough
Yeah.
game.
Look, emotionally, I want the
talking
Giants
about
to win this. I think that these Cowboys defense is going to cause problems for the Giants. I don't think the Giants are going to be able to run as consistently as they had. I think it's going to finally put Daniel Jones in a situation where he's going to have to come from behind. And I think these Cowboys win their second straight game.
I am the complete 180 opposite of that. And not because I think by any means that the Giants are going to blow the Cowboys out by any manner, but I think that's going to be a damn tough game, and I think it's going to be up to the defenses is really what it's going to do, and I think that the Giants' offense has the ability, whether they actually execute it or not remains to be seen. We'll find out on Monday night, but I think the Giants' offense right now with the way Zach has whatchamacallit, Zeke, excuse me. Zeke has tailed off, and Cooper Rush is in a quarterback. And I mean, the Giants' MO for years has been the backup quarterback is playing for another team, give that other team the win, right? But I don't think that's going to be the case here. I think the Giants are going to eke out a win. It might even be just like by a point or two, like these last two wins have been. But I think they go 3-0.
Yeah. All right. Looking at this game,
It's a head scratcher. It's a tough
thought
one.
Giants were going to win, but of course I'm a Cowboys fan, and then I talked to Prime, my buddy Prime, and he assured me of
Amazon. Your buddy Amazon.
Yeah,
call up Jeff Bezos. Told him what to do.
So who are you taking, Pete?
So I'm taking Dallas after talking to
All right.
Dion. I'm going with Dallas.
John could certainly make up some ground this week.
The coin likes the home team.
Oh.
Picking the Giants. No, but you know what? The coin's
right half the time.
Yeah, usually there's one. Usually there's one game a week that the coin. I think last week it was Arizona, I believe.
Arizona.
And there's usually 1 week where everything goes to shit and the coin wins.
And the coin wins. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Well, if Tennessee had somehow managed to beat Buffalo last week, we all would have lost to the coin. But of course, that didn't happen.
Yeah, I think that out of these 6 games, I think 4 of them are toss-ups.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And these are definitely tough games that we picked to pick this week. So.
All right.
Anyway,
so there you go.
right.
Beaten by the coin.
There you go. Beaten by the coin for week 3 of this season. Cool. Look at that. Perfect time.
Perfect.
All righty. All right. One last thing before we finish. We didn't talk about it before Beaten by the Coin. We actually meant to talk about it before Beaten by the Coin. The Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio, announced this week their 129 modern era nominees for next year's Pro Football Hall of Fame class.
What is the criteria?
The criteria is that
one guy have to think you belong on the list.
No, you got to be nominated by a majority.
You got to be nominated by a majority of writers. Yeah.
It's a pretty high majority. It's like 70% or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But now, is it like baseball where you only get a certain number of votes that you can cast, or you everybody votes on everybody, and you know what I mean?
That's a good question. I'm pretty sure it's similar to baseball. It's probably not exactly the same, but I'm pretty sure it's similar to baseball. You have a certain amount. You can't sit there and nominate 1,000 people, right? You have a certain amount of votes that can be cast. But there's a lot of them, which is why they're at 129. Yeah, they're going to whittle these down. I believe it's
how many?
I believe it's either next month. It's either in October, or November. They whittle it down to 25, and then in January it's down to 15, and then they make the announcement. So,
okay.
All right. So, and then they make the announcement at the NFL honors dinner the night before the Super Bowl. So, but in any event, right now it stands at 129 modern era.
Who are some of the bigger names?
So I'm gonna rattle off some names. I'm not gonna do 129, mind you, obviously, just a handful. And I'm gonna pick some standouts, if you will. You guys tell me if they belong on a list or not.
Do they belong in the Hall
They
of
belong
Fame?
on the list or
Oh,
in
no,
the
no, in the Hall of Fame. No Hall of Fame. No Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Belong in the Hall of Fame. Right.
I think they
Right.
all belong on the list.
They all should go. Well, put all 129 in. Go for it. Anyway. All right, we're going to start off with a couple of quarterbacks. Randall Cunningham.
Could you imagine? They all have to make a speech. 129 guys all get in.
the
ceremony takes a week and a half.
3.5 weeks.
That'd be miserable.
They start like playing the NFL music to get them off stage when they talk too long, like they do at the Oscars.
Yeah.
Right.
All right, sorry. Go ahead.
Randall Cunningham.
Randall Cunningham. Does he belong in the Hall of Fame?
I'm going to say no.
All right. Harry.
And I love Cunningham because he played for the
Yeah.
Eagles, and I hate the Giants, but I don't know. And I have not looked at his numbers. I feel like he was great and exciting, but not Hall of Fame material.
Maybe not, didn't play as long as some other people, though he did. He's a bubble. He's a bubble for me. I'm going to say yes, though. And here's why I'm going to say yes.
Why?
It's because I think he was on. I think he was an incredibly exciting player who did not have the best teams around him necessarily.
Yeah.
And I think he was sort of one of those early game changers at the position of quarterback. And I think that means a lot. So I'm going to say yes.
All right.
But I think he's a bubble. I really do think he's a bubble guy.
He's a bubble. All right.
Let's say this: largely responsible for making the Eagles relevant at a time when there was a pretty good team in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, look,
regularly.
Just under 30,000 yards, passing, 207 TDs, 134 interceptions. Here's where I sort of start to. He wasn't the most accurate. 56% completion rating, not bad, but I think you had to watch him to understand what his ability on the field was. He was maybe the most athletic quarterback of that era, and
I still like sitting at Giants games back in the day when he was quarterback in the Eagles. And every time he had the ball, the entire stadium chanting, Randall. Yeah.
And then he jumped over Carl Banks and ran it into the end zone.
Pretty much, yeah.
I'll say this too. One of the hardest guys to defend against in the Tecmo Bowl video games.
There you go.
There's a quarterback sweep, and you don't want him to run it. Even when you pick it, he still gets yards.
And his brother Richie was very good too. Nobody ever remembers that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yowza.
Exactly. All right. All right. I'll give you one other quarterback. Donovan McNabb, as long as we're on the Eagles, right? So Donovan McNabb.
Yes.
Yes, he belongs in. Harry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bubble.
Yeah, I think that they're very similar in a lot of ways. I'm going to say no on McNabb, and I don't know why, but I don't. Yeah, I'm going to say.
All right, I'm going to throw one more at you really quick because it's on here, and I'm just curious how you would say it. Steve McNair.
I think McNair's numbers are probably better than what you think they are. I don't know on McNair. I would probably say no.
Radio Pete?
Didn't he play in the CFL too? I think it was someone else.
I don't know. He might have. I think he did actually. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
I don't know if you
all right.
Sort of look at that and no, I'd have to say no.
All right. I'm going to switch it to some running backs now. Tiki Barber. Does Tiki Barber belong in Canton, Ohio?
No, he's a Giant, so no.
All right. Harry?
Ugh.
I'll give you some inspiration. Hold on.
Look, I think he's in the top 30 all-time rushing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say yes.
All right.
And by the way, I just looked it up. McNabb's numbers and Cunningham's numbers are pretty much almost exactly the same. Although McNabb, I think, maybe did it in a few less games, a slightly higher completion level. So I think they're both right on the bubble.
All right, fair enough. All right.
I think Tiki. What do you think about Tiki?
Me personally, I think Tiki should be in. He was a very, very, very effective running back and did it for. Could have done it for longer. Retired because he just didn't get along with Tom Coughlin, and obviously to his detriment, he retired probably 1 year too soon. But in any event,
that's why I don't put him in. Poor judgment.
Well, yeah, poor judgment, but that's that doesn't take away what he did on the field, right, for all those years. So,
right.
But I hear what you're saying.
Giant.
There you go. Devin Hester.
Wow, I mean, he would be probably one of the first special teams players to ever get in, right? I mean, he's known.
Well, he was a wide receiver.
Well, I understand that, but he's most well known for his
punt returner and
kickoff returns. Yeah,
I say yes. I think that skill should be recognized, and he also, he wanted to be more of a wide receiver. In the later part of his career, but I think that skill, the ability to do that, is something that should be recognized. And is there anyone better than him in the history of the NFL at returning kicks? I don't know.
I don't think so. I think he's the benchmark, right?
Pretty much, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly in the quote unquote modern era.
He was a 3-time Pro Bowler, 4-time All Pro. Or 4-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first team All Pro.
Right. Well, didn't Gale Sayers return kicks too?
Yeah.
Like that might be his contemporary there.
Right.
But I think Hester had, maybe better numbers. I don't know.
Right. Well, agreed.
Without but I mean, numbers.
He in 08 and 09, he did have a lot of receptions, but I mean, he really dropped off after that. He didn't have. He was great on on returns. I'm going to say no. Because I think there's other players who have done that end of the game. Maybe not as well as he did, but I think they contributed to the other areas more.
Fair enough.
Okay. Yeah. I would just say, I don't know if there's anyone. There are players that when you kick the ball to them, anytime they could go, right? They could go all the way. None more than Devin Hester, I don't think.
I agree.
So that for me, that's enough to put him in.
All right, let's bring it to. Let me throw a couple of these. Let me some rapid fire, some offensive linemen. Let's get into a long conversation about it. Just quick. Here we go. Chris Snee.
Pretty good. Yeah, I would say yes.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I know it was really, really good.
4-time Pro Bowler, 2-time Super Bowl champ.
Right? Yeah, it's a couple Super Bowls, right? So,
yeah. There you go. Nick Mangold.
Of course. The greatest Jets lineman ever.
There you go.
I mean, I think Mangold was a 7 or 8-time Pro Bowler, right?
Yeah, he was almost every year he was in the Pro Bowl.
I think, especially he was a center, right?
He's center, yeah.
Yeah, I think yes.
Yeah. Jeff Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. Nate
good
Newton.
on TV too.
Yeah, really. Only on Saturdays though.
Yeah.
Nate Newton.
Not as familiar with him. Was he on the Cowboys?
He was on the Cowboys. Yeah.
So
on the Cowboys, and he was on the.
Yeah, I think he won like 2 or 3 Super Bowls, and he was like a pretty.
He won 3 Super Bowls.
3 Super Bowls.
Okay. he was a stalwart of that defense. I gotta say yeah for Nate.
Yeah, I think Nate Newton definitely. Yeah.
All right. We're going to jump it over to. I'm going to throw one defensive lineman at you, Justin Tuck. As a homer, I want to say yes, but does he belong in the Hall of Fame?
I say no because
he was a big part of. I mean, he basically took over the defense for from Michael Strahan, which
I
we all
mean,
know Pete loves. So.
he won 2 Super Bowls.
Right.
Let me look him up real quick. See how many. He did have 66 and a half career sacks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where that. And he played 10 years. 1 year, with his second year with Oakland, he didn't play very much.
Yeah.
I think he got hurt. So, what, 2-time Pro Bowler?
2-time Pro Bowler. It's bubble. I'm saying bubble.
I'm going to say bubble. Yeah, I would say not a first ballot. No.
Right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Whatchamacallit? Jesse Armstead.
I think Armstead's problem was that probably not a long enough resume.
Yeah, I agree with that.
10 years, but I think he missed. I don't know. Maybe he did play for longer than I thought, but I don't know. I mean, Jesse Armstead probably made it to 4 or 5 Pro Bowls. He never won a Super Bowl with the Giants, did he?
He went to the Super Bowl. They lost to Dilfer.
That's right. He was earlier than that. No, I don't think he's a first-time Pro Bowler. Nope. No. First ballot. No, I don't think so.
I don't either.
I'll agree with you guys because I don't know enough about him. And he was a Giant.
Yeah. Teddy Bruschi.
Fuck that guy.
I knew that was coming from you.
By the way, he'll be on the show next week.
Yeah, he's coming on next week.
Well, he was going to be on the show next week.
He was going to be on the show. Right.
Now that I'm saying he's not a Hall of Famer.
Jesse Armstead made it to 5 Pro Bowls, by the way.
Okay.
Bruschi probably deserves to go, but I'm going to say no.
I mean,
he did win. And Jesse Armstead, by the way, did win a Super Bowl with the Giants. For Super Bowl 42, he was a special assistant consultant.
Yeah, all right. So he's never won a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Playing.
That was my old job.
The 3 of us were, remember?
I think
Bruschi, magical year.
I think Bruschi's more known for being on those championship teams with the Patriots. I don't know if I'm looking it up right now. He's only had 1 Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
Agreed. But didn't he have like a stroke or something that he came back?
Does that help?
I don't know. You got to be pretty badass to have like a aneurysm or something. And then
I don't think so. I mean, I think Teddy Bruschi was a great player. I think that he's in our consciousness a little bit more because he's been an announcer now for a lot of years. Right. I think he was a high profile player on that.
Yeah, definitely high profile.
But yeah, I don't think he's a pro. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer.
All right. All right. One more linebacker, James Harrison.
Absolutely.
Pete?
Sure. Why not?
Fair enough. Yeah, 100%. James Harrison needs to be in the Hall of Fame. All right. Let's go to a couple of defensive backs I'm going to give you. Asante Samuel.
I have no idea. Yes.
Yeah, I'll say no.
Antonio Cromartie.
It's the Hall of Fame of having kids, or because he's number 1, first ballot, unanimous, baby.
All right, for real though, Rondé Barber.
Yes.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
How wild would that be if Rondé and Tiki go in together?
Yeah,
it'll be the first time, right? To the
I think Cromartie's a bubble.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I would put Cromartie in, but
who was the first one before Cromartie?
Asante Samuel.
I don't remember. I mean, he was good, I know, for a number of years there, but
I'm gonna stick with
played 10 years in the league. I don't think so. I think he won 2 Super Bowls, though, obviously. So.
He did, yeah. All right. I'll throw one more. I know we said we weren't going to do it, but I got to put it out there. I just have to do it because I know what Pete's response is going to be. Is got to get Harry's. Darrelle Revis. Does Revis Island go to Hall of Fame? For all of you out there that are wondering why Pete isn't answering, because it's a given he's going to say yes. Anyway.
I don't think I have to say it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think without a doubt. Yeah.
Definitely good at his job, was he? at the time.
Yeah.
There's a reason there was Revis Island. He didn't make that up and put it on Instagram and just call himself that.
I mean, 4-time All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler, 1-time Super Bowl champ. Yeah. I mean, yeah. 29 career interceptions.
There you go.
That's, you know,
right.
It's not bad.
He made teams change the way they ran their offenses.
Right. I got 2 punters and a kicker for you.
Oh,
and then we'll call it.
No fucking punter other than Ray Guy deserves to be in the NFL.
Sean Landetta.
No way.
No.
All right.
Only other punter I would put in maybe, and not because of stats, is Reggie Roby. But only because
you like his name.
No, because he didn't lift his plant foot off the ground when he kicked.
It's just all one leg power.
One leg.
I mean, I just think of that missed punt with Landetta.
Yeah. All right. Jeff Fiegels.
Fiegels? He was probably a better punter than Landetta.
Mm-hmm.
Was that Fiegels of the Eagles?
Yeah. Fiegels of the Eagles and the Giants. And the Jets. Didn't he play for the Jets a little bit too?
Yeah, he's got the same amount of Pro Bowls as Sean Landetta. I'm going to say no.
The Giants. Fiegels kicked for the Patriots, the Eagles, the Cardinals, the Seahawks, and the Giants. The Giants he kicked for the longest. 7 years he kicked for the Giants.
I'll say no.
So, all right. All right. And wrapping it up with a place kicker, Jason Elam.
He was pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
he had the longest kick until last year.
He had the longest,
right.
Yeah.
Well, as a Broncos fan, I'm gonna say, or he was. I mean, I don't know. He was around a long time.
He was. He was.
Never. He won both he won 2 Super Bowls with the Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say yeah. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I think also just because his field goal percentage was pretty high. I think he's got I think he had a couple years where his field goal percentage was like in the 90s.
Yeah, it was pretty damn good.
Yeah.
It was. So, all right. Well, there you go. That is our take on just a handful of this year's 129.
To sum it up, fuck Jeff Fiegels.
There you
go. I have no idea. It's just a joke.
Yes, it's a joke. We joke. We're kidding, Jeff.
I will say Jeff Fiegels looks like a.
Well, he's kidding. I didn't say it. He's kidding. I just said he's kidding. But I actually coached against him a rec football game with my son and his son. He was on the other side of the field. I coached against Jeff Fiegels.
Did you beat him?
No. This was when my son was my son's going to be 22 next month. So
that's why he was so good.
This is
last week.
This is when my son,
8 to 10-year-old league.
This is when my son was 7. So it's been a while. It's been a while. So like 15 years ago. But anyway, cool. All right. I think that should wrap the show for today. What do you guys think?
Pew-pew! See you next week.
Wrapping it up. All right. We'll want to wrap up the show on that note. We want to thank everybody for watching. For those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.getonwithitpodcast.com. That's getonwithitpodcast.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for the Get On With It podcast. And, of course, all of our shows are available on YouTube as well on the Locker Room channel. Remember, we go live with video podcasts on both Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night around 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And for those of you who just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcast, and iHeartRadio as well. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you'll never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. Watch a lot of baseball. We're coming down the last 2 weeks of the regular season are upon us right now, and week 3 in the NFL starts tomorrow night with the Steelers-Browns. So watch your football and tune into us next week, and we will talk to you then, folks. Take care. Cheers.
See ya.
Bye, everybody.